Oh, hey now. Ooh. The boy, excuse me, the boy and the bear. Good stuff. Fine Colombian coffee beans. Just delicious. Let's see. Soldano video came out this week. I still have that thing sitting right here. Boy, oh boy, really impressive piece of gear. I put it out yesterday. I think it was, yeah, it came out yesterday. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought in the comments. I love rack stuff, man. I still just, something about rack. Rack and rock. Rock. Rack. Yeah, it's just, it sounds really great. And it does all the stuff that I think the old one did, but more stuff now. Tonally, just on the preamp side of it, but then with the IR stuff and all that, geez, really cool. If you just had a little rack with like a, God, if you had like something you could use 4-cable, Bax Effects or a Helix or something, and then this thing, just in a rack, like I guess this is 2, and sitting here looking at a Helix and an Axe Effects, the reach. Are they 4 spaces or 3? I think they're 3 each, right? They're not 4. Are they? 2, 4? No, I don't know. Whatever they are. But yeah, you could do 4-cable it up, and what a rig to get almost any sound for recording and stuff. Anyway, I got a video coming soon for another pedal from another company that is coming out. I got to put it out on Tuesday, so just thinking about all the things. This is verbal diarrhea, thinking about all the things that I got to do. Oh yeah, Tone Dexter. That's going to be interesting. The Tone Dexter. Got to make that video. Artifact from Source Audio. Lo-fi pedal. Video in the can, but not edited yet. Way overdue on that. I got to get that out too. So these are all the things that I've got coming. All kinds of things coming now that I'm back in town here and kind of situated and stuff going on. So anyways, what are you guys talking about? Who's in the chat here? What do we got? We got 103 people online. Let's see. Is this, I purchased one the day before the video dropped. I assume you're talking about the Soldano thingy. Yeah, it's good, man. It's sounded really good here. Nice demo. Somebody mentioned in the comments that they liked the IR sound that I had for my lead, because I did sort of a back-to-back lead with an IR, with one of the IRs, Greenback IR. It's IR number 3 that just pops up, that the thing comes with. And then my mic'd cabinet, and they said they liked the tone of the IR better. And I kind of have to agree, man. It's really good, like the Greenback IR. If all you had in it was the Greenback IR, the number 3, and the first V30, I would say you'd have so much ground covered that you almost don't need anything else, It sounds really good. So, pretty cool. It's a time of abundance for guitar players. Great tones to be had. What is this thing? I think, well, it was this. Sorry. Just look at it. It's very purple. It matches the light on my door over there. I got some new lights in here. I did all my bulbs. I've got track lighting in here that I normally don't have on when I'm doing this, but I did it all with bulbs that I can change the colors of. It's kind of fun. That's why you see the purple on the door over there. It's like all the track lighting is just blue over there, and then I can do purple. It's like kind of purple over here and blue over here. I can do whatever I want in here now. I've got 12 track lights that I all divided up into groups of 3. 4 groups of 3, and I can change the colors on it all. I didn't use the hue bulbs. I think those are supposed to be the best, but they're so damn expensive. So I cheaped out and went with Wise or something, I think they're called, because they seem to have pretty good reviews. Just ordered a bunch on Amazon. Did it up. Let's make it fun. Light it up. A little more interesting. I don't know. What's your opinion on the ethics of amp profiles and captures? Well, I mean, certainly no law guarding any of it. That it's seemingly, it's a Wild West, it seems. But I guess the ethics of it is, I wish that credit was given where credit is due, at least, or that there was some sort of system where like, it'd be nice, and I would gladly purchase stuff like this if for the various but like let's say the IK folks, if they offered, I guess, some sort of package, and I guess they sort of do this with Amplitube, or do they have like things with, they have like obviously like Amplitube Joe Satriani and Amplitube Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that, but I wonder if do they do anything with manufacturers? Maybe not. I just can't remember right now. But if there was like, with Marshall or with Fender, if there was like an official sort of sanctioned, be it, Tone X captures, or with Neural DSP, if they did it sort of official, with the companies and stuff, so that there was a bit of a kickback to some of those companies or something like that. I think that would be really nice. Obviously, you have that with plugins. Let's take the Neural DSP Soldano SLO or something, or Mesa Boogie Mark IIc or something. There's an arrangement there, obviously, and I think that's good. Something along those lines would be best. I like how this XLR cable here is just loud and proud in the picture. I can get rid of this because it broke. That is crazy. This microphone, I had this hum going, and you guys probably heard it on the stream forever because I don't have this mic live in the speakers when I'm using it. But it was like a low hum that was happening, like a noise, a ground sort of noise happening. And I discovered it one day, and I'm like, oh, well, that's probably been going on for a long time. That's not good. And I hunted and hunted and hunted to find where this ground noise was, just like a buzz. It was like a low buzz. And it ended up being this cable. It's like this stand that I got for my SM7 has a cable built in, so I had to, jerry-rig another mic cable on here, and that solved the problem. So I guess I should have this cable looked at or something. Maybe there's something broken in it or something that was causing an issue. Anyway, that's not interesting. There's a super chat up there. Why don't we grab that? Let's see here. So a 6-space with a little airspace. We were talking about the Soldano pre earlier. Here you could have this maybe with so this is 2 spaces, and then with something like a Helix or a Axe Effects. Yeah, I guess you'd have a 6-space. What do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I have 8 space here in my. I have a. Who makes this desk? What the heck is it called? Argosy. I have an Argosy desk, and it's got 2 8-space racks, 16 rack spaces on either side. It's 8 and 8 split. Yeah, I might have to find a space for this guy, this pre in this rack. I've got a UA Universal 11. What is it? A 6176 that is great. It's got an 1176 built in. It's got a 610 tube pre built in. I don't really use it that much. I mean, I just don't use it. So maybe that would be the thing that I can pull out and pop in this pre and have it to use. For various things. Anyways, here's somebody that got my custom HSS. Great guitar gig for the first time last night. Sounded excellent. That FU tone bridge is fantastic. That is cool. I'm glad you got one. Braxall's going to be mad at you because I think he's got one coming and it's still a month or 2 out. And he was wondering, but anyways, I hope he gets his soon. So whenever the dealers have them in their queue, sort of. But that's so cool. I'm glad you got it and gigged it and had fun with it. I love mine. The bridge is really cool. It's got a great depth to it, doesn't it? The sound of there's just this deep thing with the block on that bridge, the brass block, that I think is really cool. That super chat disappeared there, so I'm going to grab it right now. How does the FU trem on your signature compare to a Floyd? Also, is it floating or down only? I have it right here, so we'll just grab it while we're talking about it. So the difference is... aside from, because I believe these start with Godot parts, right? Like the base plate and stuff like that. So the differences on mine are titanium screws here, titanium inserts in the saddles, titanium screws to lock the saddles down to the plate, titanium screws up here, and a big old brass block in the back that you can't see because there's a plate on here, of course. But yeah, the big brass block, which seems to add a mass and depth that is cool. Has just a weight to the tone. The guitar sounds great, so I don't know how much to attribute to the block and all that, but it's got a weight to it that I think I hear being the brass block over other Floyds that have a normal size block. It is like the block back is like double the size of a regular Floyd block. So so those are some of the differences. Oh, and it's not floating; it's down only the way I have it set up with the D-Tuna. And for instance, like the clinics I've been doing recently, I'm doing this inspired by the tone clinic I developed. I'm using the fact that it's down only, and I'm switching on the fly between drop D and E stuff. So really utilizing the bridge to the max, kind of. But if I wanted to, I could set it up floating, and so could you if you got one. So it would just kind of negate the use of the D-Tuna. I mean, you can always put it in drop D, and if you just leave enough space on the fine tuners for adjustment, you might get to the place where you could do the drop, still with the nut locked, and then on the tuner, you just tune the guitar real quick, and you'd have enough range there to kind of do that, even if it was floating. But obviously you can't do it instantly. You're going to go out of tune. So there's Ben Coombs in the house up in Canada. He says, don't forget to hit the like. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate that. Oh, what else have we got here? A bit late, but finally here. You're not really that late. I was late. I was 10 minutes late. Let's see here. Ever played through the Blue guitar amp? A little bit. And I know Thomas, the guy that developed it. And I've played with him on stage at the same time, like at a jam in Germany once while he was using it. It sounded cool. And he's shown it to me and kind of walked me through it. And I know Jennifer Batten was using it. People like it, It seemed like a good product. Been out for a long time now. And he was definitely kind of, I guess, ahead of his time with it, Pretty darn cool product. Yeah. I've been playing in front of real guitar players for a couple weeks. Amp in the room. Very nice. Oh, real guitar speakers. I thought I said players. What's the matter with me? I've been playing in front of real guitar players. I thought you were being like self-deprecating, like I've been gigging in front of rooms full of real great musicians, and I'm still hanging in there. But no, you were saying I've been playing with real guitar speakers. I don't know why I read that as players. What's the matter with me? That'd be like something I would say, honestly, about myself. Real guitar speakers for a couple weeks, amp in the room, very nice. It is great. There's playing with an amp in the room is like, yeah, I remember what that feels like every time I do it, I love playing through, a mic cab and monitors, or even using, modelers or whatever you're practicing with and all that. It's all good, but there is just something about the good old guitar speaker in the room and rocking that. So, I just got a pair of Barefoot 3s, but they are loud for my room. Is there a downside trimming them down with the knob on the back so I get more control with my Apollo? No, not at all. I don't think so. That's what it's there for. Go ahead and just, trim the input down so you can get your gain range on your Apollo nice. There's a clip light on the front of them so you can see if you're clipping the input I'm talking about the Barefoots. There's a little green light that when they're powered on, it's green. If you go into clipping, it's turning red, meaning you're cranking your input up on your Apollo and hitting the front end, and at some point you're gonna clip the monitor. So just be aware of that, and then adjust accordingly with the control on the back of the monitor. Great speaker though, right? Don't they sound good? I love mine. I mean, I really have just instantly adopted to them, and I'm loving the speakers, honestly. What else we got here? Let's see. With the quad cortex, says Daniel, do you prefer the Seymour Duncan Power Stage and cab over FR speaker like the Laney? And cab over FR speaker like the Laney. I haven't tried the Laney. Generally speaking, I do prefer, like at least with my setup and the way I'm using it, I prefer just using a guitar cab. It sounds like an amp to me, so. If the capture's good or the model or whatever, and you're running it into a good guitar speaker, a good guitar cabinet, it's like, I play gigs with it all the time with Five for Fighting. That's been my rig for over 2 years now. The quad and power amps, and I prefer a great Class AB power amp. I use Matrix with couple Sir 112s if I can carry that matrix with me, but I use the power stages when I fly, and they work quite good. You know, they're just a Class D style. It's a little different sound. The Class D amps to me just have a little bit of a harder tone, you know, but it's still cool and works well. So yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. There's Arthur says, I feel like the Greenpack IR was able to deliver a warmer sound like what we have in real cabs. Do you mean on the Soldano video I did? I think that's possible. Yeah. Let's see. Do you know anything about the master volume design of the new Sir SL68 Mark II? A little bit, yeah. It's a master that it's a post-phase inverter master, but I don't know technically exactly like what's going on the way it's implemented. I think that something's happening when you turn it. Well, first of all, when you turn it down, the tone seems to not get as like piercingly bright as some post-phase inverter masters. It seems to stay truer and be more like full through the mids, like the amp is loud. So the tone stays more consistent all the way down on that master. It seems to work really, really, really well. I will say that the one thing you might notice is that if you're trying to go for really, really clean sounds, you might notice that it seems more distorted with the master lower. That's just one thing to be aware of. And you might just want to compensate with the way you're setting the front of the amp. I don't know why that is exactly technically, but it seems like maybe when you're turning down the post phase inverter master, maybe it loads the phase inverter or something differently. This is a question for Friedman on Tone Talk. You could ask him and he'll probably fill you in. But it just, that is the one thing. It seems like it might have a bit of an effect on the phase inverter. Now, I don't think it's a bad thing because usually if you're using something like an SL68, you're in crunchy mode anyway, aren't you? You know, kind of crunchy. You're not going for crystal cleans or fendery cleans. So that's the only time. If you're going for super, super duper cleans and you start to bring that master really low, you might notice that there seems to be a little more grind in the tone. So just in that case, what I would say is bring the master up, turn the volumes down a little bit on the front of the amplifier, and just find a happy balance, you know, so that you're not driving into the phase inverter as hard, maybe from the preamp of the amp, and find that balance. Overall, I prefer the master, though, to what was in the amplifier, which was also pretty great. It's just, with any post-phase inverter master, for whatever reason, the way they work, as you bring them down, you kind of, at least with the old one, and most of them that I've tried, you'll notice the presence control working less. And it seems like the amp scoop out a little bit sometimes when you use them to get all. I'm not talking about when you turn it from 10 to 7. It works fine like that. The old one worked great, which would be enough to get it from like really too loud to like club volume, just fine for like playing with a drummer and stuff. I know. Ask me how I know, because I've used it in clubs like that, like where full 100-watt mode, the whole 9 yards, and I'm just bringing the master down to like 7, playing with drums and bass in a club with people, and nobody's complaining. It works fine. But a lot of the people are going to use that master to get cranked Van Halen tones and then get them all the way down to bedroom volume, right? So if you're doing that, the new master is superior, I think. Works really well. Once again, just in summary, mid stay full, tone stays more consistent all the way down. The amp sounds and feels like you want it to, I think. Yep. I'm just going through the chat here back and forth. I'm skipping all over the place because that's the way my brain works. So it's a reflection of the way my mind actually functions. Last B Guitar says, Happy Sunday to you. Word up from Minnesota. What's happening? What's happening? All right. What's this say? Good to be home, Pete. Kitty cat, okay. Yeah. Well, we've got 2 kicking around now, so they're both good. One's crazy and young, kitten, bonkers. Yeah, but really pretty cute. All right, howdy y'all. I got a 50-watt Soldano, says Jimmy Jack Jones. Still waiting for the surf box to come back. The surf box, yeah, I remember that. They're reverb. Pretty cool. All right, working through the chat here. Let's see. Is there an AB pedal that is opposite of AB. I want to run two instruments into one amp. Sure. Yeah, Radial has that. Step on a pedal and be able to change the instrument. 100%. They make them actually, they make rack units like that. All kinds of things. I mean, a lot of people, like if you're a pro guitar player on the road, for example, and you're the kind of guitar player that likes having an individual wireless pack for every guitar. That's not me, but a lot of guitar players do that, where there's a pack on every guitar. They'll hand the guitar off to a tech. The tech takes the old guitar and turns off the wireless and puts it back in the rack or whatever. And then you got the new guitar with a different pack. They'll make, for instance, like a 4 switcher into 1 out so that you can do stuff like that. So if you got 4 different wireless receivers all kicking into, then you can use like, yeah. Or, like you say, 2 different instruments. Maybe you've got, a couple guitars and you want to leave them plugged in for whatever reason into a box and then just switch between them without having to switch a cable. Totally can do that. Look at the Radial website and you'll see probably some of the other companies, Lechli or whatever they're called. I think that's how you pronounce it. I bet they have one too. But I love Radial stuff. I mean, it's well made. It's made in Canada. It's easy to get. It's inexpensive. What's more? What more could you want? That's what I'm trying to say, unsuccessfully. Speaking of Satch, good old Joe Satriani. There's a killer video of him playing a Les Paul special, Satch Boogie, and the tone is crazy awesome. I like the video of him playing Satch Boogie on like a kid's Strat, like a budget Strat copy is what I'm trying to say. He looks like he's at a music school or something in a classroom, and he plays the whole thing on a cheap guitar. It's the carpenter, not the tools, right? Uh-huh. All right, what else we got here? Let's see. Totally agree that the manufacturer should get more credit. That's Henrique. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a company and your thing is captures and modeling and stuff, maybe there's just a way to kind of like share in the, So I would happily pay more, as a royalty to, if it was the, complete Marshall collection or whatever, for Tonex or for Quad Cortex or whatever, or plugins or whatever. If it's official and sanctioned and stuff. If let's say it's a collection that you buy a plugin. Let's say it's a Neural DSP plugin. The Marshall collection, and it's 3 or 4 different classic Marshall amps, and you can use it as a plugin, and then you can also use it. They'll port it over to using Quad Cortex. If it's $99.95 or $129.95, if it was $109.95 or $119.95 or $140, whatever, like another $20 if it's 15%, like whatever the royalty would be. I would think like 10 or 15% or something like that would seem, just pass it on to the person buying it, and I think that's cool. Maybe some setup like that where it's just mailbox money for them, and they can use the name and it looks cool. It says Marshall on it or whatever when you pull it up as a plugin, and that's what they've done, I think, with the SLO and with I don't even know what the royalty rate is. I have no idea that they paid to Mesa or to Soldano or whatever the company is, but I think that's a good business model and ethical and for sure. Yep. Joe says, I like the sparkle on that guitar. Very cool. Yeah, I love that guitar, and I love the finish. Love it. There's Braxall. Wonders why mine's taking so long when I ordered my FU Pete Thorn in May. I think, happy to sign it for you, dude, when you get it. I think it's probably just your dealer had other guitars in the queue, and, that they got to get from, I think it's probably something like that, but it's definitely a dealer question. Because they are being made, they're out there, they're shipping and stuff, so it's coming. Yeah, but I think yours is only a month or 2 away, right? Is the good news. So I think you were saying it's supposed to be January or February or something. So, I hope you get it soon. And yeah, of course happy to sign it. There was a HSS standard in Japan when I was just over there, and I signed the back of the headstocks, and now it's got 2 signatures on it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Have you tried the Metroplex 2? I have not. I'm interested in that. That amp has George's, so Metroplex, of course, Metropolis amplifiers. I think it's got George's sort of phase inverter style circuit built in that allows you to kind of simulate a cranked plexi, hitting a phase inverter hard, but he's doing it with a master after it, and you can turn it down and all that. So it's not a post-phase master, that type of thing. I think he's actually got like a circuit in there that he's doing or something. So I'd love to try it, one of these days to see. I haven't seen that guy for a long time. Used to see him all the time back in the last decade, but I haven't seen him for a while. But amp looks cool, and I did look it up and kind of look at some of the features and stuff like that and was reading about it. It does seem pretty neat. Yeah. Let's see, what else we got here? Earl says, I just ordered a... Come on, light up. Just ordered an M4 MacBook Pro as an upgrade. How are you doing on the learning curve with Logic and your new Mac? Any discoveries? Just little things, little operational things that I'm doing in Logic, like the way I've got my mouse configured. A lot of the times, I'll do things like you want to use the scissors to cut a region or something like that, and chop off part of a region or cut a region in half for whatever reason. So if I click the far right side of my mouse, it'll do that. So you can kind of have like 3 things active on the mouse, I think, the way I've got it configured. Instead of just one click, I can have different things. Still getting used to that. I'm so old school with it, the way that I just kind of, with Logic, it's like and with any program really, my Final Cut Pro, I'm like this, many programs for your computer, I just learn them enough to do what I want to do, and then I sort of stop the learning process. And, you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys are like that or not, but, it's like, every single little, key command and things you can do, I don't know, so I'm always discovering new, like, I didn't know Logic did that. So, and I've been using it for, let's be honest now, 20 years, so... Anyways, but I tried using some of the new band feature, like the virtual session player stuff that's supposed to be kind of develops parts for you on the fly for your song, bass player stuff, and like you can do keys, whatever, and you can kind of dictate the chords of the tune, and then it'll come up with parts. I don't know. I guess I should spend more time with it and see. Certainly for bass, I'll just play the bass. That's kind of what I arrived at. Keys, I don't really play keys, so maybe it'll be good for that. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's all kind of fun. Stem Splitter works great. It's nice for, I actually used it for my clinic because I play a couple cover tunes in my clinic and of, kind of showcasing great guitar sounds or sounds that I like that I was influenced by. And I needed to kind of isolate the parts so I could pull the original guitar parts out of the mix so that I could play them. And so I used Stem Splitter for that and it worked really good. So it's cool. Let's see here. EV5150 says, thanks for your video on the Soldano Astro. I ended up buying the other day and love it. Cool. Yeah, good amp, once again, kind of in the modern, pushing things forward sort of category. Yep. What else we got here? Let's see. Oh, I should mention I'm going to see Beat tonight, which is, of course, Tony Levin and Danny Carey, Steve Vai, and Adrian Belew doing the music of King Crimson, the early 80s version. So that should be fun. It'll be a good guitar show. I'm sure some of you out there have seen them. They've been doing it for a long time now. The tour's been running for a few months, it seems, or a couple 3 months anyway. Kind of sporadic dates here and there, and so I'll check that out tonight. Pretty excited about that. I love those, Discipline. It's a cool record, Frame by Frame and Mate Kudasai. I listened to it yesterday. That tune is so beautiful, Mate Kudasai. If you've never heard that, listen to it. It's just gorgeous whale sound guitar playing. And just the melody of the tune is so beautiful. Really, really great. Nice music. Played by virtuosos. Okay, let's see. Speaking of IRs, have you played with the Dynacabs in the Fractal stuff? Not really, no, I haven't. I guess I should get into that. There's so much to do. So many things, and I've got so much work to do already with other things. I should check that out. What is it like? Are they dynamic? Does it, depending on how hard the cabinet is driven, does it respond differently or something? I guess that's probably the vibe with a name like Dynacab. Drive into the speaker harder and it responds differently. Pete Thorn, any future plans to have your signature amp available on modelers or Sims? Well, Arthur, it is actually. You can get my amp from Nembrini and also from UA. So you can get the UA version, PT100. It's available off the UA website. Or you can get it from Nembrini. It was only available for UA for a while, and then that contract expired because Nembrini actually developed it, I think, for UA. And so the Nembrini website has the PT100 available, and it's a great deal. It's generally, I don't know, $50 or something like that. And it's just all 3 channels of the amp with a bunch of different, speaker simulation options in there and stuff. And it sounds really good. You've heard it in a bunch of my videos. I've used it often for things. Yeah. Pete, or anyone, any rule of thumb suggestions for high and low cuts for global EQ settings on modulars? I'm using HX Stomp. For low cut, it depends. If if it's a solo sound and you really want to clean it up, I mean, you can go as high as 120 hertz on the high pass filter, but you're going to start, if you're playing palm mutes on the low E string, you start thinning that out, at that. So I would say go lower. You're not going to hurt generally anything if you're down around 80 hertz, so experiment between 80 and 120, depending on the sound that you're going for. I always say if you go up to 120, even if you're using a 412 cab style simulation or whatever, it starts sounding more like a deluxe reverb or something when you go up that high. So maybe down, experiment, just sweep between 80 and 120 and find where you're not losing what you need out of the sound for the bass, but you're cleaning up the sub stuff that you're not in need of. As far as a high cut or low pass filter, I generally don't do that stuff. I mean, we never did that stuff back when we were just recording with microphones and, tape machines and stuff. I don't ever remember anybody lopping off all the top end on a sound, but the high pass thing definitely happened, but not so much like cutting off the top end. But it's sort of, to me, I see that as more of there's a problem with the virtual mic placement or whatever. If at that point you might want to try a warmer IR before you go lopping off. It's a little more brutal way of getting to what might just be wanting to move the mic virtually out into the paper away from the center of the speaker, So, in other words, if I was recording, back in the day, which for me, I guess was the 90s, and I had a microphone on a guitar cabinet and I went in the control room, I listened, it's kind of bright. Let's get the low pass filter and roll it. No, I wouldn't do that. I would go out and move the microphone on the speaker to a position that sounded better. And as a matter of fact, when an engineer live would say, your guitar tone's kind of bright in the PA, I'm just going to kind of cut some whatever, when they say that, I go, hold on a second. Let me just see if I can handle it up here for you by either turning down the treble and the presence on the amp, or commonly I'll go move the microphone. I'll go, would you mind if I move the mic a little bit? Because that's kind of their department. But no, go ahead, and then I go and I move it, and I'm like, well, let's try that a little bit out into the paper. And they'll say, how does that sound? And generally I get back oh, great, that was perfect. So instead of carving it with EQ or using a low pass filter or something like that, you're actually just fixing it at the source, which is always going to be better for phase and different things. So, in my opinion, fix the problem with the sound at the source through changing the sound, changing the microphone position and stuff. It's always better than applying something else to a sound and that's more of a Band-Aid, I think. So, yeah, that's that. Why doesn't that apply the other way? Kind of an interesting question. So in other words, why do I, high pass filtering, why is that okay? Well, because there's sort of no way to get all the sub and rumble out of a sound by moving a microphone. You know, that's just stuff that's going to get in the mic from other instruments and stuff, like, you know, the bass amp that happens to be next to you, or whatever, that you can just kind of clean up, and it just helps to kind of keep things clean. I mean, I guess one could argue, well, you don't need all that stuff in the high end either, the cymbals bleeding into the microphone, but I don't know. I just never saw it that way. Anyways, all that said, if you're going to do it, experiment by sweeping all the way down to 6K, I guess. You know, you might want to just lop off everything above 10. There's not anything going on with a guitar speaker, generally speaking, way up there. You know, there's guitar speakers roll off at like 5 or 6. So you'll still notice a little air, for whatever reason, you know, you'll notice a little of the air goes away no matter what when you know, are at 9, 8, 7, a little more air. The guitar, the treble seems intact and everything, and the overall tone, and then as you get below 6, you're going to start noticing a real darkening of the, you know, because that's kind of, now you're getting into definite guitar, you know, prime frequency territory. I'm going to have a little bite of this. Just delicious. So rude, sorry. What else we got here? I'm doing an open blues jam this afternoon. Haven't played on stage in a couple years. What do you do to chill the nerves? Well, Tom, play simple. And close your eyes. I find that works great for me these days. If I'm getting nervous looking at a room of people, it's generally because my mind's not in the right place. And if I go like this, and I just close my eyes, all I can now I've shut off my sensory, my visual sensory information, which sucks anyway. But even the best of times. But I've shut that down, and now I'm just hearing. And instantly my brain starts to go to, what would sound good right now? You know, what should I do? Not like worrying about the person with the phone in your face in the front row. Filming your every move to put on YouTube and hopefully catch your mistakes. No. You know what I mean. But yeah, no. Close your eyes. It's a good one. And also, just remember that the audience, for the most part, having said what I just said, it was a joke. Meant as a joke. The audience just wants to have fun, and they're there to support you. They're on your side. They don't want to see you fall flat on your face. You know, they just want to hear what you've got to say on the guitar. You know, they're not your enemy. They're friends and advocates, and they're there to have fun. You know, they're sitting there having a drink or whatever, and they want to just chill and listen to some music. And you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, you know? You don't have to try and impress them, or you don't have to you just have to express yourself and play the music that you want to play, you know, to the best of your ability. In the moment. That could mean bending one note and just milking it. Also, you know, it's a blues jam, so just remember that when it comes time for you to solo, just say a little bit and then stop. And you don't have to start right on the downbeat of the bar. Big advocate of waiting for a couple beats to go by. So you're in the jam. It's 5-4. Now it's time for you to solo. Right? I mean, that's what you want to do. Just, you know, with your eyes closed, if you could sing that in your head, and those are, but you notice I left a lot of space, especially at the beginning. Let the first couple beats go by, and then just play one note. I guarantee it'll get a little bit, like, if you just start playing and playing and playing, people will just kind of tune out. But if you hit one thing and stop, you're like, hey, kind of musically, that's what you're doing, right? Hey, I got something to say. It sounds something like this. Well, what about this? That's kind of what you're doing. It's sort of like, you know, musically you're trying to pull people in, right? So just leave all that space, play simply and with intention and have fun, you know? Easier said than done, I know, but hopefully that take that into it and and have fun, and let us know how it goes next week. I bet you'll have a good time. Do you use any non-tubed amps? I do. I mean, I guess my Quad Cortex setup that I play with Five for Fighting and the Seymour Duncan's or the Matrix Power Amp is modeling and Class D, and so there's that. If you're sort of talking about more traditional like solid state stuff, that like a combo or something, I have a few. I don't use them super often. I've got a lab series. Excuse me, I burped. Oh, what a jerk. I got a lab series from, who was the company? It was Lab. Was it Moog or something? It was their company. Weren't they like affiliated with Gibson? Anyway, I bought it because of Ty Tabor, and, I was so obsessed with that sound for so long. And now I have one, and I haven't done that much with it. I should try it more. I have a GK that doesn't work that I should get fixed. An old, 250 ml that I want to get going one of these days. Need to look into that. It's one of those things that I haven't done that I got to do. And a few others, I got a little Boss Microcube. Stuff like that. How's the new kit and cat adjusting? Pretty good. He's crazy. He's weird. We got this little kitty that, we found him on the beach. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but anyway, he's real cute and been taking care of him and stuff. But he's sort of like really skittish. He seemed like more personable, like when we first took him home. And now he's just like kind of runs away from us all the time. And so he's just sort of this thing that we feed, and he poops and I scoop his poop. And that's about it, But every now and then when you can get a hold of him, you kind of, you pet him a little bit, and then he starts purring like a monster, and he'll hang out with you for 10 minutes and just be really cute. But then when you let him go, he forgets that you're not a danger or something, and he seems real skittish. Maybe some of you have some advice on that. I don't know. Like, how do we just make him know that, like, we're not there to hurt him? Like, I think he was just on the streets for a bit, and he's just really, like, almost feral cat energy a little bit. It's just so weird, though, because when we first took him home, he was just all, like, snuggles and, like, more, like, into the, hanging out with people. Now he seems kind of freaked out by people, but he loves the other cat, our big guy, which is Toby. Loves him so much that Toby's like, get away from me sometimes, which is standard kitten and big cat energy, I guess. I think that the big cat's always more aloof, But anyways, but he's cool. When you can get a hold of him, he's for the 10 minutes a day that he might chill with you and stuff and realize that you're not a threat, he's really cute. The rest of the time he's pretty wild, a terror, running around, running away from us, and it destroyed sort of a decorative plant that I had this morning. So there you go. Is it just me, or am I looking a little like Johnny the Ramone? I guess so. Just growing it out. I'm a rock guitar player, and I figure, one more time, let's go. Let's do this. It's still there, so. Let's see a little more here on being in the moment. I think I can play as long as the first jam is loose. I'll get comfortable, start cutting loose. Tom, yeah, you got this. You got this. You know what to do. I have your signature, sir. Andy and Thornley's both amazing. Thanks, man. I appreciate you getting it. I talked to Ian the other day about something, and it's always good to chat with him. What a guitar player. He's the coolest. Radio makes some great gear. Agreed. I'm pretty far back in the chat, I guess, if we're talking about that. I should move down. Yeah, they do. They're a great company, and they kind of make a lot of tools for guitar players or musicians that, solve a lot of problems. So I like Radio a lot. Yeah. I was looking into Radial's tone bone. 2 heads, 1 cab. It has 20 milliseconds delay between amps. Well, I think they probably need to build in a little bit of delay when you're switching. Might go for any amp switcher just because of there's a relay, and then you got to load the other amp. And I think that there's some technical, like you don't want the other amp not seeing a load, and that spike and everything like that. So it's just kind of part of the limitations of having to switch 2 amps into 1 cab. But I used the tone bone on tour with Chris Cornell for a while, to switch between a divided by 13, and I think it was my divided by 13, and a PT head into 1 cab. It worked pretty good. The way I had it set, maybe they fixed this now, but back in the day, I remember it oscillated. There was like some sort of oscillation when I had the gain up too high in the amp, like a ground thing or something. It was a little weird, but they've probably got that licked now. That was a long time ago, 15 years ago. Oh, brother. Let's see. Dory says, picked up a 2015 Candy Apple Red Fender Strat from Facebook Market. Absolutely beautiful. Congratulations. I love Candy Apple Red guitars. That was my first, like, I remember when I got my first guitar, it was a Hondo Strat, and my mom got the blue one. I love blue guitars, but I really loved Candy Apple, and I was hoping that she got the Candy Apple Red one, but she picked the blue one. But I loved my first guitar, and my mom for getting me that. So nice of her. I had a little trainer amp. I remember Christmas morning that year. It was very special. It was cool. And everything's been different since. As Billy Gibbons once said, at that point, my studies went by the wayside. The grades started dropping, and here we are with all this stuff and talking about guitar stuff all these years later. So nothing's changed from that moment forward. I think Marshall's dropping the ball, not making their own version of the Tone Master Pro with all the Marshall models in it. Tone Master Pro, is that a Fender that has everything in it? I haven't even paid attention to that. If so, I thought they were just doing the individual Tone Masters, but the Deluxe and the Super and all the ones that they have out. But anyways, well, they kind of have made code, right? Marshall code, right? Isn't that kind of, and varying degrees of success. I mean, if I was them, I would more like, it seems like the Tone Master formula of having like just a simple amp that is a modeling thing, like make a plexi that is, like, I mean, I feel like it's sacrilege just saying this, but it looks like a 4-hole Marshall, but it's a modeling version or whatever. Just does that sound, and obviously with a master that you can get it in any volume and an effect loop. I think that would be good. I don't know. What else have we got here? I know a guy who knows a guy. More on Marshall. And apparently there's some big changes coming. Bringing very, very new stuff to join the modern world. Well, there you go. Maybe it's happening. I don't know. It's probably time, for them to, I don't know, revamp or something. Let's see here. Steve says, I just got lucky and grabbed the one that showed up at Sweetwater. I think you're talking about my signature guitar. Yeah, because I know they had one coming. So that's cool. That's awesome. Thanks for getting it, man. Appreciate that. If you're talking about my guitar. I think you are. Yeah. Let's see here. Ooh, the Metroplex does look interesting. Yeah, I agree. I've liked the several DSLs that I've played through. I had an early 2000s DSL. That was my main amp back then. I had other amps like Top Hat, and Plexor and stuff, but I used the DSL because, much like I sort of do now with like what's simple and what just works for gigging is important, and being able to rent stuff, a backline back then was important. We didn't really have digital modelers back then, so something that sounded great that I knew I could rent on the other end was important to me. So I used a DSL, and largely on the clean channel and with pedals and stuff, and then distortion channel too. But DSL and a Marshall 412, you can do a lot with. And, like Friedman does some mods on them, I think, too, that you can make them sound a little, they're pretty good sounding amps, honestly, when you tweak them out a little bit and stuff. It's not a bad sounding amp. I don't really know much about the new ones. I mean, I know they just kind of reissued it, and they're not made exactly the same as stuff. I'm not sure if there was any circuit changes and stuff to the new ones compared to the early 2000s, but the control layout basically looks the same and stuff. So I assume they're pretty similar. Yeah. I'll hold on to my 80s 2203, bury me with it. Be sure to include reverb. A nice reverb pedal. For all eternity. Yeah, 2203, 2204, great amps. Yep. Okay, let's see. What do I think of the new Mac Mini Pro? I wish I would have waited. I really wish would have waited, Pete, to get your MacBook Pro. I have a MacBook Pro, but it's an M2, but it's fine, man. I mean, I could care less about that. To be honest, like M3s and M4s, and it's like these computers do everything I want them to do already. Like I never use, the only time I use them and I'm like, this sucks, is like after they're 7 years old. But like a year into the life of the thing, I don't care, 2 years in, there's going to be an M5, because next year there'll be an M5 and then an M6. And you're like, I should have waited. And it's like, no, I need to get work done. So like, I just don't, they do everything I need them to do. It's like having a car that'll go 150 miles an hour and then another one comes out the next year that goes 175. And you're like, oh, I should have waited. And it's like, how often are you going to go 175 miles an hour, let alone 150 miles an hour, or the other way around? But you know what I mean? Like, I just need something that goes 90 miles an hour. To do everything I need to do. I'm not over here making video games or something, where I need like, different, like 8K video streaming from 6 different sources and stuff or something, it's like not really like that. So I'm kind of going the other way. Like when I make demo videos now and stuff, I'm like the multicam, many times you'll see me have 2 camera angles. I'll never have more than 2 cameras going. But I'll use 2 camera angles for a couple of shoots in every video, and that's it. Everything else is just 1 camera, and then I'll just move the angle around, to get different things. And because when I'm making a video and I'm importing that's when it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I had this angle and that angle and that angle? It's like, yeah, now you got to import all that video, and your project is huge, and then you need to name it all and classify it and edit it all down, and it's just like I don't have time to do all that. I'm one guy, So anyways. That's that. And the computers that were out in 2010 had plenty enough power to do anything that I do audio-wise, plugins and, all that stuff. So it's all gravy, I'm not going to notice the difference between an M2 and an M4 is what I'm saying. I'm just not for what I do. The Sets video you mentioned is called Joe Satriani, Great Talent, although playing a cheap Chinese gear. Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, he's like, it's all in the hands, Joe's amazing. I had a good long talk with him a little while ago. I'd met him once before, but I ended up, it's a long story and I'll tell it another time, but I'd met him once before, and then not that long ago, I had a good long chat with him and rapped about guitar for a long time about all kinds of different stuff. He's a terrific guy. Exactly as you would expect. So, saw a beat in Toronto. It was magic, says Peter. Yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be really fun. Looking forward to hearing the tunes tonight. Is Peter using StreamYard? Yeah, I use StreamYard. I love it. That's the streaming program I'm using right now. I started using it, 3 years ago or something at least, and it's been rock solid, terrific. So, yeah. Let's see here. Make deep diving into Logic Pro your Christmas present to yourself. I don't know if like that kind of Christmas present is what I'm looking for. How about a trip to Hawaii instead? No, I don't know. I know what you're saying. To be honest, I should compartmentalize my time a little more and learn a little bit more about it. Probably through a course. I'm really enjoying studying Japanese these days. I'm on my, let me see where I'm at. See that? 115-day streak on Duolingo. So that means I've worked on Japanese every day for 115 days straight, at least one little course, or usually more than that, usually a half an hour to an hour every day. And I love it. I just love it. I enjoy it so much. Good for my brain. So that's kind of my focus on learning right now. There's a lot related to music. I mean, like, in language, it's like a lot of listening and cadence and phrasing stuff. It's important. So I feel like there's a lot there, but it's also, I'm using another part of my brain. I really like it. If that song is the one Mate Kudasai I'm thinking about, it was a song by a famous singer in the early 60s. Chutto Mate Kudasai. No, that's different. Chutto Mate Kudasai just means, Chutto Mate Kudasai means, hold on a second, right? Chutto Mate Kudasai, just a moment. This song's called Mate Kudasai. I don't know if it's not the same spelling, I don't think. Getting into Japanese here. Mate Kudasai. Mate Kudasai. It might mean just a moment. Mate Kudasai, a Japanese phrase that means please wait. Oh yeah, it's the same. Mate. Chutto mate. Just wait a minute, please. So, please wait. Please wait a minute. Chutto mate Kudasai. Just similar. Yeah. Yeah. Shushu omachi kudasai. Another way to say please wait is omachi kudasai. All right. Anyway, that's enough of that. Okay. What else we got here? Any thoughts on the EVH brand doing a collaboration with maybe Lexicon or Strymon on an all-in-one plug-in reverb unit? Seems like a missing piece of the puzzle. That'd be cool. I mean, you know, I know they're always looking at doing stuff like that. You know, Lexicon's interesting. Obviously, they did collaboration with, you know, MXR on the pedals and Boss for the delay. You know, I think I think many things have been explored with that company, you know, and they've looked at doing many different things with many different people when it comes to anything you can possibly imagine, probably. You know what I mean? Amps, modeling, effects, all across the board. You know, it's all been sort of discussed, and it's whatever projects sort of take hold. And obviously the Boss delay, that was something that ended up happening. Really cool. And yeah, you know, for us Ed heads, it's always fun when that stuff comes out and you can add another piece to the puzzle. But, you know, to be honest, a non-plug-in reverb unit, so like a pedal that you could do the studio reverb with, right? I sort of think it doesn't matter. I mean, I know what you're saying, but you can get close with a lot of different, you know, units, a Strymon Big Sky or something, and dial in a plate or something that's close enough for live if you really want to do the studio reverb. But the way I look at it is he never did that live, you know? He didn't have it. You know, when you heard Eddie live, it was just more raw, and it didn't have that studio sound, you know? So, you can get it out of the, you know, for those that don't know, there's a terrific Sunset Sound reverb plugin from Sound. Is it? No, it's not Sound Toys. What is it? Just look. I can't remember the company right now. I think is it IK? I can't remember. But anyway, look up Sunset Sound Studio plugin reverb. You will find it. I think it's $99. I have it. I use it all the time. Sounds great. And there's other stuff in there. It's not just Eddie Van Halen reverb, right? It's the chambers from every room. It's also the sounds of the rooms. So you can do like room reverb stuff with it. And it's nice on the CPU and it sounds great. And basically, if you want to get the Van Halen reverb out of Logic or, you know, you just dial that up and you just do a send into it and do the panning the way, and there it is. It sounds pretty darn dead nuts close. So, you know, there's that. I think the missing piece of the EVH puzzle, Friedman needs to make a matching cab to the Plex. What are the slanted Marshall copy with EVH speakers in it? Well, matching cab to the Plex. I mean, you just get a 412 and put greenbacks in it. I wouldn't think much beyond that, you know. Get a raw 412, you know, and, you know, just a 68 spec, you know, 412 with greenbacks, and you're pretty much there. You know, if you really want to go crazy, you can try and find some old JBLs and stick them in the top. Get a super chat there. I got to get. I'm going to do that in just a moment. Yeah. Yes. What else have we got here? Let's see. I find it undesirable to use a mid-scooped gain pedal after using the Nobels ODR, yet a lot of people don't use that pedal. Pros and cons of mid-range gain pedal. I mean, like to me, a Tube Screamer or a Klon is pretty much a mid-range gain pedal. I would run them in front of a Nobles. To me, a Nobles is kind of a mid. Yeah, it's mid scooped. Like the Nobles is already pretty toppy bottomy to me. I don't know. Am I crazy? That's sort of how I think of it. Fairly full range sort of overdrive, not like a tube screamer. So I would run a tube screamer into it to kick mids into the front end of something like a Nobles, or a Klon into it, because to me the Nobles is sort of more like a slightly broken up ampy overdrive. So I would consider it the amp sound, and then running the MIDI guy into it, not after it. Just in my opinion, but whatever works. Yeah. We got 266 people online. Nice to have you all here. It must suck, says Chris, performing when everyone has a video camera on you all the time. How do you feel about it? I don't like it. I personally, I'll just be frank. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. There's numerous examples of, folks that, I've seen people that I've played with stop songs and put that away, and, some of the more sort of old school, people that I've played with, and I don't understand it, and I don't like it. It makes me nervous as hell, but I've had to learn to live with it. I mean, the one show that I did, because I don't do a lot of playing my own stuff out there, right? So if you can see it on YouTube, the 2013 or 2014, when I did a set of my music at the Sir NAMM party, there's me playing Monster Movie and what else did I do? I don't remember. A bunch of songs of mine at the party, but I like it's literally the only time that I've done. It's like I don't play out with my own band a lot. Now I put together a band, did a couple days rehearsal, and then went there and did that. The whole place was like phones and cameras, and it was the first time I ever played that music live. Monster Movie, all these songs that are like, they're really shreddy and stuff like that. Revenge of the Nerd. No, not Revenge of the Nerd. I did the Grim Noodler. I did, a few other tunes. And I had to muster up every trick in the book to just mind over matter that stuff that I knew, because like this is all going on YouTube or Instagram, or everybody's going to and especially if I fall flat on my face, it's going to go on YouTube. So here we go. And I guess that's what it's all about. Many times facing your fears, but it's not fun, It was not fun. It turned out good. I was happy with everything. But, I felt like at times, like, I was like, this is like, I felt like it's like, I don't know. Like, it's just, it's, you want to, I guess maybe the ideal thing is to go somewhere where you can play first, in front of people, maybe book some gigs out of town or something and work up to it and stuff. But it's still never fun when you get to the one, it's weird. You can't gauge how you're going to feel on any given night at a gig, right? So you might be like, have a great night last night at a show, and then you get out there on stage the next night, you're like, why do my hands not working? Why is my brain like in a fog? Like, and it doesn't make any sense. And so it is what it is. So you just got to kind of make the most of it and do the best you can, in any moment. But it's not fun. Yeah. Should the performance just be for who came to the show? I mean, I sort of think so. I think that, everybody up there filming the stuff, and especially the whole time, it's like, you are never going to watch that video, It's like, you're just not. I will film if I go to a concert, a couple things, I'll just, when there's one of my favorite things, I might put up a little Instagram story, or whatever. Everybody flexing on their Instagram stories. Look where I am. It's so cool. Right. But, so I might film a little bit and, take a couple pictures or whatever, and I try and keep it to a bare minimum, and that's it. And the rest of the time, part of being in Japan this past time when I was just there, I noticed some more people because I was at Tyoshi, the fellow that I work with over there sometimes, he had 2 concerts and I went both nights, and I noticed more people filming. And that was a new thing that I'd never, because I always was like, oh, Japan is the place you can go where nobody does that. And it's still almost nobody, but there was people filming this time. And I was like, oh, it's happening here too. I kind of just wanted that to never happen there. Nobody with their phones out, but there was a significant number of people with their phones out this time around, I noticed. So it's human nature. Whatever. Who cares, right? You just got to not worry about it and just play. And yeah, it's you know, in many ways, I wish it was the 90s. But anyways, I had been playing through FR speakers with an FM9 and switching to 212 speakers in the room. Big difference in definition, all the bad notes coming out more, especially on clean. FR speakers with an FM9, switching to 212 speakers in the room, big difference, definition. So like you're hearing it clearer through guitar speakers? That's interesting. I mean, I just like I think the way that a guitar cabinet, just the speakers and the way they physically interact with the walls and everything, and the way the cabinet resonates and stuff is just so different than a FR, which always to me has a sound that's kind of not like a guitar cabinet. So that said, I mean, I've heard some that, and, there might be something coming that, I can't tell you about that that is a significant bump up, I think, when it comes to all that. Because I think the goal is make an FR cabinet that will fool you into thinking you're playing through a guitar cabinet, So I think there's stuff down the road that we're going to see where it's getting closer. I just haven't really seen that many that are like that now. Really like my Atomic Reactor. I don't think I don't know how active that company is anymore, but I have a couple of their wedges. I thought it was a great product, really good. Not exactly like a guitar cabinet, no. The Celestion speaker that they make, the F something or other 200, that's a full range speaker, but it looks like a guitar speaker. I popped that in an open back 112 that I have here. It was pretty amazing, I thought. Like, I was like surprised how it's like, oh, that sounds pretty good, actually, like in this little kind of, boutique 112 I have here. Tried it with I think it was with an HX Stomp and some other stuff that I, experimented with it with. I thought it sounded pretty darn good, really. So, it can work. But anyways, I got super chats I got to hit here. Arthur says, if you get a chance to see Pete playing live, his tone is stupid awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And you saw me using my quad reg too, not even with the PT100s or 15. So I appreciate that. Yeah. There's plenty of ways to skin a cat. Ooh, that's terrible. I love kitties. I would never. Joe says, I live in a studio apartment. I play through AC-15 and have Band Creator looper pedal with bass and drums going through a Carbon 1,000-watt bass head. Neighbors are cool. They must be cool. Yeah. AC-15 have Band Creator looper pedal. Don't ever move. You got it going on. Any chance of clinics in Australia next year? We talked about me actually doing it on this past little trip that I was on, and then there just wasn't enough time. I had to get back to play a gig here in the States and stuff early November, and so it didn't happen. But the offer was kind of there. So I would love to get over to Australia to do a little bit of gigging, clinicking, for sure. So hopefully soon, I can get back over there. I'm going to jump way down in the chat here because I'm behind and I've got 3 super chats I got to grab here. So just going to keep moving through some of those. Thought on which mic prefer recording guitars with mics, guitar preamps direct, and great for vocals too. BAE, API, Steve Stevens Mod, Chandler. Well, first of all, I'll just say that maybe I've been working on something in this department, and I hope that it's comes to fruition. So there's that down the road, but nothing yet. So I love my BA 1073 with the Stevens mod. It's great. There's a lot to love about it. So that's my main pre that I kind of use right now. I've got an API here too that I use. My friend John Fields, who's a record producer, told me, don't F around, just get API, like way back in the day. So that was the first pre I ever bought, was an API. So something API, something Neve based, be it, Chandler or, you're in good shape then. On the cheap, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out now. I've heard that Behringer, I hate to say it, but the Behringer Neve 1073 kind of clone, somebody told me is like killer. So there you go. If you don't feel bad about using something like that, maybe get one of those. Warm Audio does some pretty good stuff, I think. I've got a Warm kind of API clone in my little 6-space rack over there. Bart Thins. Snacking chocolate. Delicious. Okashi. Isn't that snack in Japanese? Any Japanese people watching? Okashi. Okashi. Oishii desu. I've learned a lot of words recently. Hopefully that's not something else, but I think it's snack. Okashi. I could be wrong. Could mean something completely different. Let's see. Oh yeah, super chats. I'm just gonna grab those other ones there. Great for so Douglas. Yeah, not to, if you got that scratch, man, look at that Shelford channel from Rupert Neve for vocals. Ooh, I mean, like, because it's got compressor and everything built in and EQ. This thing, generally speaking, for vocals, you might want to have a little more stuff on a strip. So if you just want mic pre, can't go wrong with the BAE or an API, BAE 1073 or API. But if you're doing vocals, maybe you want some EQ and a channel strip in there to kind of dial in things a little more, like a compressor. It's always nice on tracking vocals for sure. So then maybe that Shelford. It's expensive though, so there's other stuff out there on the cheap. I don't know, but those are going to be my recommendations for ya. Do you have a helix of any kind? Yes, I have multiple. I've dialed in an Eddy sound that's so damn good, you'll be shocked. Arthur, send it to me. Okay, let's see here. Clones are cool, but I need more control. I may grab the new Philex pedal. If you want more control on a clone, there's the Bonsai. Is that what it's called, or the Australian one? Bondi. I was thinking Bondi Beach. Bondi. I used to use that one years ago. It's got a bass and a treble, and then some sort of voicing switch on it. It's got a little more control. Or Phil's pedal. I don't know anything about Phil's pedal, so maybe it's great. Let's see. Reza, hi. Thrilled to have you with us. The Twisted Multiverse. We'll be cranking up the music as the world joyfully collapses around us. Add this to the coffee jar. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And I will buy some more coffee for this place, or at least individual coffees for myself. So delicious. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you all being here. We got 275 people online. There's Music Life with Arthur with a super chat as well. Sent you a killer picture. You'll appreciate in your email. I will look. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll check it out after. Who are the other members of your band, if you don't mind me asking? That set is great. Oh, Blair Cinta. Great YouTube. So Blair, terrific drummer, plays drums with Fritz and the Tantrums now. Just a really, really musical guy, and an old friend of mine, terrific pal. So look for him, Blair Cinta, Sinta, and he does a lot of like on his YouTube. If you're interested, I mean, things about recording drums and miking techniques and different. If you're a drummer, you'll find it interesting, or if you know a drummer, he's really into YouTube and Instagram and stuff. So John Button on bass guitar. Check him out. Plays with The Who, little band called The Who. Sheryl Crow worked with me a lot. Toshi Nagabuchi, Draco Rosa, different artists that we played with together on tour. One of my oldest friends. I don't think he's a YouTube guy really, but he's on IG. Yeah. Okay. Get down through the chat some more here. Yeah, Ian says that he always imagines everyone being naked, but the problem is some people should not be naked. Oh, brother. I don't know how to help you with that. Decades of practice never could improve my playing as much as my first 125-watt amplifier. What was that? 125 watt. Was that the only amp I can think of that was, well, they called the 5150 originally 120 watts. I remember that. The original block logo, 5150. I don't think they do that anymore. I think the new ones are 100. But yeah. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is the speaker I was just talking about. Have you heard or used the Selection F12X200? They're supposed to work well with modelers. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. I got one of those popped it in a 112 that I have here, an open back 112, and to be honest, I liked it just about as much as any FR style cabinet that I've ever heard. So yeah, I can vouch for that thing. It sounds pretty darn good. If you got a 112, you know, like maybe an Avatar or something, just a generic, you know, little open back, maybe oval open back 112 or something, pop that thing in, try it. Your mileage may vary, but I was pretty impressed. Thought it sounded pretty good. You know, it's a cheap way to get into FR, I think. Like get a good little open back and try it. How are the kitties? I was talking about them earlier. They're good. They're just, one's a little skittish and just trying to figure him out. But he's cool. You know, I'm hanging in there with him. You know, he's a good little guy. So we'll figure him out. Just hope he doesn't keep destroying my decorative plants. A good alternative to the Shelford channel is the RND Newton. What's that? So that's a mic pre that I don't know anything about, actually. That's interesting. RND Newton. I'm just going to change something in my settings here. Just 1 second while I do that. And then I want to look up the RND Newton just to see what it's all about. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. There we go. Okay. There we go. Got that done. Okay. RND Newton. RND Newton. Oh. So that's another Neve, Rupert Neve Designs, of course. Is it a little less the Newton? Mic preamps. Newton channel strip. Is this new? Oh, it's simpler. Rupert Neve Designs Newton. It looks like it's just simpler. High performance, value packed. Sounds like cheaper, but that's cool. Classic Neve fatness, sparkle punch. Newton channel includes a Class A mic pre. Sweetly musical sounding, discrete 3-band EQ, fast versatile VCA compressor, a custom Rupert Neve design transformer. That looks pretty cool. So the Newton, or let's look at the Shelford. So the Newton is $2,000, and the Shelford is $4,000. Half the price. Makes sense, yeah. So, yeah, it's quite a bit more sophisticated, I think, but I bet Newton is... I bet it's not $2,000 cheaper sounding. All those Rupert Neve products are nice. I wish I had one of those 5088 consoles. They're so beautiful. If you're poor like me, a WA73. So that sounds like a Warm Audio 1073 clone. Probably $400 or something, right? I bet they sound great. Golden Audio 1073. I have 2 there. Great, says Andy. Some good advice. Oh yeah, the Bonsai is the JHS multi-screamer pedal. That's right. I said Bonsai. I meant Bondi earlier. Bondi or Bondi for the Klon with a little more versatility. The Bonsai, that's right, JHS multi-screamer with all the different screamer circuits. TS10, TS9, TS808, even an OD1. Does everything. Do you eat hamburgers at all or only fish? I love hamburgers, dude. I probably eat too many hamburgers. I had one this week. I had a Wagyu beef burger, and it was delish. Been eating too much meat lately, actually. I gotta chill out on the red meat. It's not the best thing, and I gotta moderate. But it makes me feel good. I like it. I just, I don't know. What else we got here? Let's see. What time is it? It's 1:14. I got to split at about 1:40. So I'm going to hang till then. Another half hour or so, 25 minutes. Triple rec was 150 watts. That's right. So the Mesa triple rec, I remember, was 6 power tubes, right? And 2 rectifier tubes. Oh boy, who needed that much? But it was the 90s. It was a different time. IK does the Sunset Sound reverb. That's right. IK Multimedia, if you're looking for that Eddie Van Halen reverb chamber sound, $99. Don't even think twice. Just get it and enjoy. It's really, really good sounding. Let's see here. Warm Audio, great. I have their clone. Yeah, Warm Audio is a company that does, they do interesting things. They do, Klon. They do Fox Tone Fuzz. I think I did a video for that. They do, yeah, API style mic pre. They do tube compressors that are sort of supposed to be like, LA2A style stuff. They do all that stuff. 1176. If you're looking for stuff on the budget, it's pretty good stuff. So I have found, generally, in my experience. What's the best way to get Dyne IR on a pedal board now that Two Notes has discontinued the Cab M Plus? Did they? I didn't know that. Why did they do that? They must have something else coming. Must be something else coming soon that I haven't quite heard about. I don't. Yeah, I mean, you can't unless you get an old Cab M Plus or whatever else they have. I'm sure they're not abandoning the. I would have heard about it if they were abandoning the format. So there must be something coming around the corner, maybe at NAMM. Just wait till January, I would say. See what they got coming. My 70s Dual Showman is 120 watts. Stupid loud. Yeah, that's going to be a loud amplifier for sure. Yeah. Chicago Music have a wicked collection of Marshalls. Do they? Ooh, you got me interested. What do they got on their site? Let's see. Chicago Music Exchange. You got me wanting to look. I don't want to wait. Chicago Music Exchange. Let's see what they got. Chicago Music Exchange. Shop by category. I've never looked at their website. That's interesting. Ooh, this could be dangerous. You might be costing me money right now. Pretty cool. One thing that popped up on their website, just on the front page, was the Squier Classic Vibe Bass 6, which I saw one at a store a little while ago. I seen one at a store a little while ago, and I was like, that is too cool. The Bass 6, of course, sort of the Fender 6-string. You see John Lennon playing it in the Get Back movie. Kind of the original 6-string bass, isn't it? Just so cool sounding. They're cool. It's the sound on, isn't it the sound on Back in the Saddle again? I love that part so much. It's so cool. But I think that's the sound on that. Amps. Let's see here on Chicago Music Exchange. What do they got? New, used, vintage. I want to look for vintage. Vintage. They got, there's all kinds of Fender. This is a nice website. Chicago Music Exchange. Nice store. 1961 Twin for $7,600. Ooh, that's a rare amp, though. A twin amp. So a blonde twin from 1961. Ever seen one of those? Kind of neat, right? I know you can't see this. I wish I could just pop it up on the screen. I'm not seeing any Marshalls, though. There's a Vox AC50 from 65. That's a cool amp. Pretty good price. $23.95. That's not too bad. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything Marshall. Why is that? I wonder. Shop by category. Let's see. Sorry, I'll come back in just a second here. I just wanted to see what they've got. Used Marshall. I'm going to go down to used Marshall. Used Marshall. Man, I'm not seeing anything on here. I must be looking in the wrong place. I see Mason, Mayani. I'm looking in the wrong part of the website. I don't know. Acoustic amps, bass amps, electric guitar amps. I just didn't see anything, Marshall. Maybe I just look in the wrong place. Where are you looking that you see this Marshall stuff? Divided by 13. CT. Why can't I find Marshall on Chicago Music Exchange website? All right, this is getting to be really boring if I keep doing this, right? So I'll stop. Let's go back through the chat. Would you ever rock a guitar with a hollow flash finish? I remember that. Was that kind of like Kramer's in the late 80s? They kind of did that. I don't think so. I don't think that's me. But you never know. I got stuck with a guitar with LEDs on it once on a French tour that I did. I had to play that thing. There's so many lights on the front of it that was humming through the pickup like crazy. But it's about the look, man. Whatever the job requires, I guess I do. I had a cat named Newton, like that Mike Bree. He was my best bud for many years. Oh, that's cute. I get it. I get it. I get it. Yeah, okay. Heading down through the chat here. Let's see what else we got here. Got my Sin 30C from Chicago Music Exchange, says Lauren, for just under $900. Sold as used, but it was their floor model. Oh, that's interesting. Search Marshall. That's a good idea. Marshall. Oh, you're so smart. I couldn't find it in the drop-down menus. It's like, I don't see anything that says Marshall. They have the undesirable, but favorite of Tom Morello, 1988 Marshall, what was that called? The 2210? Looks like there's one of those on there. They've got a JCM 900. Don't want that. They've got another JCM 900. I don't want that. Load more. Not really seeing anything that interesting. There's a 7650 watt. Kind of cool. I don't have shit, man. Somebody must have bought them all. If you were saying that they had, I'm not seeing anything, to be honest. Do you guys see anything? Am I like missing something? Unless there's like a whole collection or something that they have listed in a different place on their website. I'm not seeing nothing. I don't see nothing that I would be interested in. Great job, though. Oh, it's a video from 3 days ago. Collection they acquired. So maybe nothing's up for sale yet. It's all got to hit the website first. Yeah. Yeah. The 77 Fawn JMP is the only one left. Did they sell everything already? That's the thing about putting up videos. It's kind of amazing. Like, you make a video for something and it sells right away, right? I need to sell some stuff. I need to have a sale because I've got too much stuff. So time to do that. Make some videos of things. Would you be interested in that? Joe says, I missed your super chat. Okay, I'm going to try and find that. Sorry, Joe. Let me go back. There you are. Sorry, buddy. You mentioned a ground or noise gate you use on your pedal platform. What brand was it again? Pedal platform. You mean on a pedal board? Well, first let's start with ground stuff. So I recommend either the Samson makes a isolation. Is that what you're talking about? Like Samson makes an isolation transformer that's terrific that you can use if you get a ground loop. Like, for example, if you're splitting into two amplifiers and the one output needs to be lifted because otherwise you get a buzz. So Samson makes just look up Samson 1/4 inch isolation transformer. You'll find it. You can buy it at, online, anywhere. They're under $40, I think. It's great. If you want to spend more money on a very similar thing, Palmer makes one. Look up Palmer isolation transformer. You will find it. Or the Hum eliminator from EBTech, 1/4 inch one. They make a 2-channel one. I have one of those too. Works great. So there's those. Ground or a noise gate. I've had various luck, with different, like the MXR smart gate. Kind of terrific. Works really good. Just a simple gate that I've used it in a pinch. Some venues that I've played, especially over in England and stuff, there's this one venue in particular where it's like there's something called the fire loop. It's like fire alarm stuff or whatever, and it'll interact with your guitar in a weird way. And some it's just like crap in the air. It's EMF or whatever, or EMI or whatever, and gets in the EMI, EMI. But yeah, it causes a lot of problems with noise, and so over there, sometimes I'll use the Rockman Smart Gate. Just put it right in front of the input of my amp, and it'll just mute the crap that's getting in the pickups of the guitar. And it's a Band-Aid, but it works. Other ones you can try: the Boss noise suppressor. This guy. Here's a couple other ones. Let me see if one here for sure. I was going to show you another one. There's a TC that's pretty good. The Sentry. So here's a couple others that I have around. TC Sentry, really quite good. And the little Hush Rocktron guitar silencer. So this guy is a little more sophisticated, although it's very simple to use. It has two different circuits in it. It's got a hard gate, so like an actual noise gate, but then it's also got a expander circuit. That's the hush part of it. That'll kind of like, as your guitar signal fades, it kind of shuts down just, I think, top end in the signal. So we're going to say gate here on this knob, less or more. Hush, less or more. You bring the hush up, and it's this kind of like expansion circuit, and it just rolls off top end. If you're using distortion, you can kind of use it pretty liberally, and it'll work fine without a lot of apparent, loss. But if you're playing clean, that's where you start to notice it. Like clean single coil is real compressed, and you want to cut out some noise because you're using a compressor, because it kind of like starts lopping off top end, and you can hear the top end getting darker. So you got to be careful with it. But pretty good in a pinch, this guy. I sort of, to be honest, I had higher hopes for it. I thought it was going to work a little better than it does when I bought it, because I bought the secondhand just off Reverb. But not bad, pretty good. Then there's the ISP decimator. You can look at that. So there's a bunch of different ones that I've mentioned. Try all that. Your mileage may vary. See what you end up with. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Pete Thorn Sunday Live from Japan for life. I wish I was in Japan doing it again right now, to be honest. I had a great time doing that one over at the coffee shop. The roastery, those were the days. 2 Sunday Lives ago. I guess it was 3 weeks ago now, is that right? Can that be? Is it really that long ago? Wow. Oh, man. Could you get Buckethead on the show? I don't know that guy. Who's Buckethead? Is it Paul Gilbert? I don't think it is. I actually have no idea who Buckethead. I know who you're talking about, but I don't know who the real Buckethead is. Wish I did. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Any chance Dave's coming? Oh, I think I already answered that. Cabinet, like particular to the Plex. I mean, you can kind of get the standard Friedman 412 with greenbacks, can't you? And that would be in particular. Any chance Dave's coming out to be a nice shortcut to get the angled 412 with black back EV8 speakers? Well, the EV8 speakers are just, they're heritage greenbacks. So it's the same speaker. So you just put EVH logos on them, so it's the same speaker if you want to get those. You can just make them. I mean, make a cabinet and put those in it is what I meant. That didn't come out right. Joe says, thanks. Oh, you bet, man. Yeah, sorry I missed your super chat there the first time around. EMF is the actual electromagnetic field. Right. Yeah, I meant EMI. EVH is not a blackback speaker. Yeah, blackback is like an original, Celestians from the late 1970s. They started using black logos on the back, the black, that they called them blackbacks or creamback or the different, because but the spec of the speaker was technically the same. So if you had a G12M 25 lead cone 75 hertz speaker, it was the same spec as a greenback from the early 70s. Now, where things changed was the paper formula somehow changed around 73 or something, I heard, because there was a fire. I don't know what happened, but the speakers from the late 70s aren't exactly the same as the ones that are, I think it's like post 73 or 74 is what I've heard. I might be mixing this story up. I hope I'm not creating, a BS story. That's what I heard, though, is that post 73 or 74, a little different than but the reality is I love the late 70s speakers. I think they sound a little clearer. I think they're a little more aggressive sounding, in a cool way. And, obviously a lot of great music was made with new Marshall cabinets that were featuring those speakers in the late, mid to late 70s, early 80s and stuff. So I love the late 70s blackback speakers. And they're more affordable than, the pre-roll-us stuff that was, greenbacks and stuff. So anyways, I thought the cones were different. Well, yeah, I heard there was something with the paper, though, was the main, I don't know. You could look it up, but I've heard something about the Celestion. Something changed with, and I thought there was a fire or something. I guess I should look this up and see if I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. Celestion factory. Let's see. Well, I got it pretty good. Legend has it. Well, it still says legend has it, but that a fire destroyed. Well, now I clicked on the site. Legend has it that a fire at the Pulsonic factory in late '73 destroyed the magic formula for making those sweet-sounding cones. Nobody has successfully managed to replicate them, in my opinion. So that's the same story I heard, was that in '73 there was something where the cones changed. And yeah, it says here in '74, somebody says on a different site, the Pulsonic cone factory burned down. No Pulsonic cone speakers from Celestion or Fane were ever made again. They said the pulp, I'm just reading off of a post on the gear page here. The vintage one's different. Come on. Where's the meat here? Yeah, okay, here's somebody says this 74 Pulsonic cone factory burned down. No Pulsonic cone speakers from either Celestion or Fane were made again. They said the pulp formula got burned up and also the process to make them. Fane has also had the 80 to 100 watt Pulsonic cone Fane from Crescendos that were more similar to a JBL E120, but the E120 didn't come out till 10 years later. Pulsonic changed names, became Kurt Mueller after the '74 factory fire, what's been told by a former Celestion engineer. Celestion did make their own cones for a while, but found it didn't work out. They just didn't have the same cones. Anyway, there you go. I don't know. I like the late '70s speakers just fine. I always thought they sounded good, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. You would think like something like how difficult, like really, like it's a paper speaker cone. Like we're not making like, sophisticated computer chips here or something. We're just making speaker cones. I don't know. It's weird, but I mean, when you look at what a speaker actually is, it's like bonehead. Like it's bizarre, but seems weird that the paper for cones doesn't age and fall. Well, it does. I mean, old speakers can get pretty, depending on how it's stored. Speakers from the 50s and 70s have the same paper. Do they repaper them? Is that a thing? Well, you can get a speaker reconed and say, if you store your amp in the garage or if you're in a bad climate for such things, sure. I mean, things can get, reconing speakers is well, I wouldn't say it's a big business, but it's a business, so yeah, they're made of paper, it's interesting, but, will you review the new Wampler Catacombs reverb delay pedal? Haven't been asked to. I would if I was asked. Any plans to bring your clinic to the East Coast? I don't have anything booked right now, but we'll see what comes in the new year. I definitely want to do more clinics, so I've got it developed now, and it's I don't want to get rusty at it either because I've done a number of them now. I've done it 6 times or something like that, and I'd like to keep it going. And it seems to be really people like it. It seems like it went well. I did it at Sweetwater. I did it at in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it went over well, I think. So, and then some other ones overseas and stuff. So I want to keep it going. So, yeah. My niece heard said KFC made high quality buckets back then, and today's buckets are not meant to last. They just don't. Chicken doesn't taste the same coming out of those buckets. That's the thing. Yeah. By the way, the Studio Rats channel highlighted this Ground Defender loop plug to eliminate annoying hum. It's called an IFI Silent Power Ground Defender plug. What the heck is that? Hollywood actress, thank you. IFI Ground Defender. Gotta look that up. Is it just like a little eliminates ground loops? Remove the ground loop as the component. Oh, so it's the power. It's at the power input. A little more risky. Purifies audio to eliminate annoying home buzzes created by ground loops. So it's on the AC side of things. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. I guess I'd like to do it in the audio path. just cause. But I think they're touting it as being pretty cool here. I'm not gonna, I know it'll work. I mean, you can do this with, you can, technically you're still connected to ground if you lift one amplifier using a 3 to 2. I'm sure this is quite a bit more sophisticated than that, but it's doing a similar thing. You're lifting the AC ground. As long as you got a ground, you're technically good. But if the ground gets lifted on the, at the AC, in the AC path or whatever, you can technically get lit up in a way that you wouldn't like. So I don't know. Your mileage may vary. What else we got here? I gotta run pretty soon. It's 1:36. I'm gonna hang for another 5 minutes or so, and then I should split. Let me just make sure I got somebody coming over to pick something up. I gotta turn on my phone. There we go. Be on the ball. Thoughts on Emily Armstrong as singer of Linkin Park? Oh, that's a good question. We've talked very little about actual music today. So I thought it sounded great, man. I mean, the new single sounded great. I've liked Dead Sarah for a long time, from like their late, early 2010s, let's say. I became aware of that band, and I thought she was killer. So, my feelings on it, I mean, a lot of people are like, it's disrespectful to Chester or different things like that. And this is coming, I knew Chester, I mean, I literally, I got to play with Chester. I mean, I played Hunger Strike with Chester, 30 plus times or whatever on tour with Chris Cornell when he would come out and sing with us. I had lunch with that guy on numerous occasions, just sat there and rapped with him. I saw him at Chris's service a couple months before he passed away, So I know this guy. Not like we were friends, but I knew him well enough to be like, hey man, what's going on? Great to see you, good to see you again. And whatever. And like, great, jamming with him back when we did. I knew him a little bit, Sweetest guy. I mean, like kindest, soft-spoken, really cool. I don't have a bad word to say about the guy. My feeling on this stuff is that when somebody chooses to take the path that he did, because it was, obviously right mind or not, and everything, it was a choice, however it happened, that everybody else's life shouldn't stop in the face of that, So all the other guys, Mike, who's a sweet guy from Linkin Park, everyone else has, especially after the amount of time that's passed, the right to move on and carry on with their lives. You know what I mean? And do the best, do what they, follow their hearts and their dreams and stuff, right? I mean, it only makes sense. So I really find it almost offensive. Chester joined that band after, I think it was really, I think it was Mike and a couple of the other guys that started the band. So, yeah, man, because one person, Chester was the most notable member of the band next to Mike, I guess, just because he was the lead singer. But, there's other people were invested in that group and stuff. And so, first of all, that's my thought on it. My main thought on it is I really feel like, yeah, of course you should carry on, And we've seen it before with AC/DC or, and they did it really quick, right? And it was like, yeah, this is what, Bon would have wanted for us to carry on, his family, want us to carry on, that kind of thing. So some of Chester's family wasn't happy about, the development. And to them, I say, well, these guys have a right to do their band. That's it. So from that perspective. And then beyond, that's kind of the only thing I'll say about it. I think, yeah, great. And she sounds great. She's a killer rock singer. And, there's other controversy and all that stuff, but I'm not interested in that. I think she's great, and I think I would go see it and supportive of it. And yeah, I agree with you. New material sounds really good. And it's I was never like a Linkin Park fan. Like I was a little old to be, right in the zone where that was my music of my youth. It wasn't, they came along in the 2000s. I was already like 30 or something when they showed up, and or maybe even a little older. And So, but you become a fan of a band, certainly when you're touring with them and if they're good. And there was no doubt Linkin Park's a good, they're capable, great players and stuff. And they had some cool tunes. And when you get to see a band 30 to 40 times every day, and go out and watch them and hear them and they blew my mind. I mean, I thought they were terrific. I watched Chester break his arm one night in Australia, jumping off of the drum riser or something, and he landed and broke his arm. And he went off stage for a minute. They isolated his arm, slinged it or something like that, and he came back out, finished the set, and finished the rest of the tour. We did a short Australian run with them. Did the rest of the tour with his arm in a cast, and was there the next night and just carried on. That's rock and roll. He was like impressive. So anyway, that's my thought on it. Thanks for the question. I appreciate it because I do have a strong opinion about it, actually, about that. And the Emptiness Machine, you say, is the best song I've heard in ages. I thought it was a great song. Yeah, right off the bat. I mean, I watched the video and I was like, oh yeah, this works. So good for them. Yeah, bands should be maybe something that in the face of that kind of I mean, you want the band to be. We think about Van Halen, the way it changed and stuff like that. Maybe everybody, the original 4-piece or whatever, maybe that was like that was our vision of what, and other people maybe like the later whatever, but, in the face of things happening, I think it's okay. They should carry on and change and, it's ultimately, I mean, we've seen AC/DC recently. I've got two friends that have ended up playing with AC/DC now, Chris Chaney and Matt Logg, So it's so weird for me to go see this band, with two of my buddies up there on stage rocking with this classic band that, and of course, Stevie now up there for Malcolm. But to hear the songs and see Angus and Brian and up there doing their thing, and it's just like we only get one life to live, and we might as well, go for it, And I'm supportive of it, I think I loved seeing them this past year. So it was a highlight of my year, actually. One of them, one of the few, I would say, highlights of my year. So AC/DC in London, just great. So. I agree. I here with My Knees Hurt. Don't think it's disrespectful to replace a member that's passed away. Music has to carry on. I think so. Chester was a pretty humble guy from my perspective, and I don't think he would have any problem with it. That's my opinion. That I could be wrong, but I don't think he would. I really don't think he would. He wouldn't expect his friends or cohorts to halt their lives because of his depression or sadness or darkness or anything like that. That wouldn't be something. He was a nice guy. He was a real sweet guy. So everything I got from him. So anyways. Killer Sunday show, says Peter. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Videos this week. So I'll have a video for the Artifact from, I'm just looking at it here, lo-fi pedal. It's been a long time coming from Source Audio. Really unique pedal that does lo-fi kind of broken down sounds. Great box. Another one from another company I'm going to work on a little bit right now for a couple hours. I got to get it out by Tuesday because the release is Tuesday. Fully admit I haven't started on it yet. So anybody that asks me how long it takes you to do a video, watch on Tuesday and see what I came up with, because T-minus 10 minutes, I'm going to start on the video for this particular pedal. And then I got to get it out by Tuesday morning, so in 36 hours or something. What else? Well, those two this week for sure. If I can get those done, I'll be happy. The Tone Dexter as well is something that I want to get done and get out. But I got a whole bunch of other stuff in the works that I got to do. So, all kinds of stuff. But those, let's call it those two for sure. And I appreciate you, Peter. Thanks for the super chat. Let's just see if there's anything else in the chat here I got to hit, and then I'm going to go. Let's see. Lawrence says, yeah, this is a nice way to look at it. Being remembered as a slice of immortality, so a band carrying a legacy forward is a good thing. Absolutely, man. I mean, Queen with Adam Lambert or whatever, and they have very respectful tribute to Freddie, and the music carries on, and, it's like, that's how absolutely, we celebrate it. And otherwise, like, on a daily basis, I think it's good, from that perspective, like just thinking a little more about it. When I would hear Linkin Park on the radio like a year ago or 2 years ago before they decided to do this, it was always a little sad to me because it felt, it's a little like hearing Soundgarden or something. I mean, it's like, it's sad to me because it's like this great thing that doesn't exist anymore, and, that doesn't, it's like, oh yeah. And you kind of remember and you lament a little bit. And it's like, because Linkin Park really felt like, they'd been around for a long time when Chester passed, but it was like, it still felt like a young band to me. And that kind of thing. Oh, I think I got to split because this is somebody that's here for a second. Hello. Hey, can you hold on just 1 second? Oh, yeah, no problem. Okay, sorry. Just be a sec. So anyways, in that spirit, I'm just saying, like, now I think of it a little differently, when I think of them. It's like a little bit of like, oh, it'll carry on. It's a little more, from that perspective. Anyway, you guys, I got a split. So somebody's just asking if I saw Gilmore in L.A. I did not, but I know a number of people that went, and they all said it was great. People that saw him in England as well. I heard it was a really good show. All right, you guys, I'm going to split, but I'll see you next week, same time. Same place. Love y'all. Be nice to one another. Have a terrific week. And I will talk to you soon. See you soon. All that good stuff. Over and out.